The sun dipped low over the Oklahoma horizon, casting a golden glow across the endless stretch of asphalt that was Route 66, a ribbon of history winding through the heart of America, 10 miles west of Tulsa. On a chilly, 55-degree evening in May 2025, the weathered Route 66 roadhouse stood like a sentinel of the past, its faded wooden exterior peeling under years of wind and dust. Neon signs buzzed and flickered above the entrance, red, blue, and green letters spelling out "Eat" and "Beer" in a jagged, nostalgic dance. The air carried the rich, greasy scent of burgers sizzling on a flat-top grill, mingling with the salty tang of fries fresh from the fryer. Inside, a jukebox, its chrome edges dulled by time, hummed to life, filling the space with the soulful strains of Leonard Skyner's Sweet Home Alabama. The guitar riffs rolled through the room, a perfect echo of the open road, stirring memories of freedom, journey, and the American spirit. The Roadhouse, a haven for truckers, dreamers, and wanderers, pulsed with a quiet energy, its wooden floors scuffed by decades of boots, its walls plastered with license plates and faded photos of classic cars parked under endless skies. Keanu Reeves, the beloved Hollywood icon, stepped through the creaking door, his presence a gentle contrast to the rugged charm of the place. At 60, he carried the same quiet grace that had endeared him to millions, his dark hair flecked with silver, his eyes deep and thoughtful, framed by the lines of a life well lived. Dressed in a simple black jacket, jeans, and worn boots, he blended into the crowd, not as a star, but as a man returning to a familiar haunt. The low-key charity event, organized to raise funds for veterans, promised casual chats, warm smiles, and a chance to give back values Keanu held close. A few patrons, sipping beers at the bar, turned their heads, their faces lighting up with recognition. A murmur of excitement rippled through the room, a soft wave of awe for the man whose roles in films like The Matrix and John Wick had shaped cinematic history. A young woman, barely 5 feet tall, clutched a napkin, whispering to her friend. "That's Keanu Reeves, my hero." An older man, his denim jacket patched at the elbows, raised a glass, offering a quiet nod. Keanu returned it with his signature modest smile, the kind that crinkled the corners of his eyes, a gesture the world had come to cherish. The roadhouse interior buzzed with life tables scattered across the 20-foot-wide room, their surfaces sticky from spilled drinks, glowed under the amber light of hanging lanterns. A bartender, Jenna, a 5'4", 38-year-old woman with a no-nonsense grin, flipped a bottle of whiskey with practiced ease, pouring a shot for a grizzled regular. The clink of glasses, the low hum of laughter, and the strum of Skynerd's chords wove a tapestry of comfort, a slice of Americana where stories were swapped over plates, piled high with burgers and fries. Outside, the 55-degree rough evening breeze rustled through the prairie grass, carrying the faint scent of gasoline from a lone pickup parked 10 feet from the door. Keanu paused, taking it all in the warmth of the crowd, the nostalgia of the road, the promise of a night spent doing good. He'd always loved places like this, unpretentious and raw, where people gathered not for fame, but for connection. His hand brushed his jacket pocket, a habit, as if checking for something, though he wasn't sure what. The event was simple, a few words, a toast, maybe a photo or two. He expected nothing more than a quiet evening, a chance to honor those who'd served. Then, across the room, Keanu's gaze landed on a figure hunched near a corner table, half hidden by the shadow of a rusted Route 66 sign. Michael Parker, a former co-star from a gritty 1990s action flick, sat there, his frame slouched, his fingers twitching around a glass of soda. His once bright eyes, now clouded, darted nervously, scanning the room as if expecting judgment. At 55, Michael carried the weight of years, his sandy hair thinning, his face etched with lines of struggle. The crowd's murmur shifted, a buzz of recognition and memory. Whispers floated like dust in the air. Michael Parker. That quote. The memoir. In 2022, Michael had published a raw, unfiltered book, a passage from it searing itself into the cultural consciousness. Why is it that original thinkers like River Phoenix and Heath Ledger die, but Keanu Reeves still walks among us? The words, sharp and biting, had sparked a firestorm: headlines, social media rants, calls for apologies. To some, it was a cruel jab. To others, a cry from a broken man. Keanu, ever silent, had never responded, his heart wrestling with hurt and confusion in private. Now, seeing Michael here, 10 feet away, his pulse quickened, a flicker of something: regret, curiosity flashing in his dark eyes. The air in the roadhouse thickened, a palpable tension settling over the room like a heavy fog on a 55-degree Oklahoma night. Conversations dipped, eyes darted between the two men, and the jukebox seemed to fade. Leonard Skyner's chords a distant hum against the weight of the moment. Keanu stood still, his boots rooted to the floor, his gaze locked on Michael, who looked up, then away, his hands trembling slightly. What pain had driven those words, penned 3 years ago? What scars lingered beneath the surface of a man Keanu once laughed with on a chaotic 90s set? Dodging fake explosions and sharing late-night coffee, the crowd sensed it: a story unspoken, a rift unhealed. Jenna, the bartender, paused mid-pour, her sharp eyes flicking between them, sensing a storm brewing. A teenage fan, Ethan, 5 feet 8 inches tall, hovered nearby, his wide eyes bright with admiration for Keanu, yet curious about the tension. And then, Keanu's gaze shifted, drawn to a small, unclaimed object on a wobbly table 5 feet away, nestled between a half-empty beer bottle and a basket of fries. A worn, 3-inch brass keychain, its surface scratched and tarnished, glinted faintly under the lantern light. Engraved in a rough, uneven script were the words, "Strength in Shadows," a relic from that same 1990s film, a token of long nights and fleeting bonds. No one claimed it. Jenna swore it wasn't hers. The regulars shrugged, and the event organizer, a wiry man named Caleb, scratched his head, puzzled. It sat there, quiet but insistent, a mystery from a shared past. Keanu's breath caught, his fingers twitching as if to reach for it. What did it mean? Why here? Now? On this chilly May evening? 10 miles from Tulsa, the roadhouse, alive with the pulse of Route 66, held its breath. The scent of burgers and the strum of classic rock fading against the weight of questions. What pain drove Michael's words? What truth lay behind this brass relic? A story of hurt, healing, and hidden depths was unfolding. And no one, not Keanu, not the crowd, could look away from the journey ahead. The hum of the Route 66 roadhouse, 10 miles west of Tulsa, Oklahoma, lingered as the chilly 55-degree evening of May 31st, 2025 pressed on. The neon glow and the scent of burgers and fries still hanging in the air. Inside, Keanu Reeves stood, his quiet presence a steady anchor amid the buzz, his dark eyes flickering with the weight of seeing Michael Parker across the room. The story of these two men, bound by a shared past and a jagged rift, began to unfurl, rooted in years of struggle, loss, and unspoken wounds. Michael Parker. Now, 55, had once been a golden boy of American television, a sitcom star whose quick wit and crooked grin lit up living rooms across the nation in the 1990s. His charm had carried him far, headlining a hit show filmed on a bustling Los Angeles lot, where laughter echoed off 2,000-square-foot sound stages. But beneath the spotlight, a darker tide pulled at him. For decades, Michael battled addiction pills, then liquor. A cycle of highs and crashes that eroded his shine. The ghost of his childhood friend, Danny, haunted him still. At 24, Danny had died in a car crash, a mangled wreck just 5 miles from their small hometown in Ohio. The screech of tires and the crunch of metal, a memory Michael couldn't shake. They'd grown up tossing baseballs in backyards, dreaming of big lives. Michael's in comedy, Danny's in music. That loss, a jagged wound, lingered, a constant whisper of failure. His grand vision, a 2,000-square-foot comedy club in Los Angeles, a brick-and-mortar dream off Sunset Boulevard, with neon signs and a stage for raw, honest laughs, never took shape. Funds dried up, permits stalled, and self-doubt crept in, a heavy fog that choked his hope. By 2022, broke and unraveling, Michael poured his pain into a memoir, a raw, unfiltered tome. One line, sharp as a blade, cut deep. Why is it that original thinkers like River Phoenix and Heath Ledger die, but Keanu Reeves still walks among us? The words hit the public, like a spark to dry grass, igniting a media storm. Tabloids screamed, social media buzzed, and fans split. Some saw malice, a bitter jab at a beloved star. Others glimpsed a cry from a broken man. To Keanu, it was a quiet wound, a sting that lingered in the silence of his heart. Keanu Reeves, at 60, knew loss too well. The death of River Phoenix, a close friend from their younger days, had carved a hollow in him, a grief he carried quietly, like the weight of his worn boots on the roadhouse floor. He'd met Michael on a chaotic 1990s film set, a low-budget action flick where they dodged prop explosions and shared coffee at 2 a.m., 10 feet from a flickering campfire prop, laughing about life and dreams. Michael's humor had been a light then, a spark Keanu admired. So when that 2022 memoir quote surfaced, shown to him via a screenshot by a concerned assistant, Keanu didn't rage. Confusion swirled instead. Why would Michael, a friend, lash out like this? Hurt prickled, a dull ache. But anger wasn't his way. True to his humble nature, Keanu stayed silent. No press statements, no social media retorts. He sat with it, alone, in a quiet trailer 20 miles from a film set, wondering what pain drove those words. The media frenzy rolled on calls for apologies, debates on talk shows, but Keanu, ever the gentle soul, let it pass. His thoughts drifting to the Michael he'd known, the one who'd grinned through exhaustion, not this shadow of bitterness. The tension in the roadhouse, already thick, took a sharper turn. Michael Parker, desperate and broke, his savings drained to pennies, had made a reckless move. Months after the memoir, in a low moment, he'd leaked a private relic to a tabloid, a 2-minute voicemail from Keanu, left in 2022 after the quote stung. "I just wish you'd talk to me, man." Keanu's voice had pleaded, soft and earnest. A 120-second bridge extended in hope. Michael, hands shaking, pocketed a few $1,000s from the sale, but the cost was steeper. The audio hit the internet like wildfire, clips looping on every platform, headlines blaring Keanu's heartfelt plea. Betrayed commentators raged, fans cried foul, and the story swelled, a tempest of betrayal. The leak threatened more than trusted, cast a shadow over Keanu's upcoming 10-mile charity ride for veterans. A passion project set for a 5,000-square-foot venue in Nashville, Tennessee. The event, planned for weeks, aimed to raise funds for those who'd served, a cause close to Keanu's heart, honoring men and women who'd faced battles he'd only portrayed on screen. Sponsors wavered, ticket sales dipped, and whispers of cancellation hung heavy. The venue's vast 5,000-square-foot hall at risk of standing empty. The roadhouse crowd, some clutching beers, others napkins, felt the undercurrent, eyes darting between Keanu and Michael, 10 feet apart, the weight of this new wound palpable. Jenna, the 5'4" bartender, paused her pour, her sharp eyes narrowing as she watched Michael, a man she'd served soda to for months, always quiet, always frayed. She remembered his old quips, the way he'd once made her laugh till her sides hurt, but now he slouched, a ghost of that spark. Ethan, the 5'8" 17-year-old fan, hovered near Keanu, his admiration clear in wide eyes, sensing a story bigger than the night. The 3-inch brass keychain, engraved strength in shadows, still sat unclaimed on the table, 5 feet from Keanu, a relic from their '90s film, its tarnished surface glinting under the amber lanterns. The jukebox rolled on, Leonard, Skynerd, fading to a low hum, the 55-degree breeze slipping through a cracked window, carrying the faint whiff of gasoline from the lot outside. Keanu's gaze lingered on Michael, then the keychain, his fingers twitching, his heart wrestling with hurt and hope. What desperation drove Michael to this leak? How could a bond from 30 years past fray so far? The Roadhouse, a slice of Route 66 lore, held its breath. The drama of two men, one a quiet icon, the other a fallen star unfolding. A tale of pain and stakes rising, tied to the American pulse of honor, veterans, and second chances. The weight of the past hung heavy as the story of Keanu Reeves and Michael Parker moved from the weathered Route 66 Roadhouse to a raw, pivotal moment. On a rainy, 50-degree night in May 2023, a park 2 miles from downtown Seattle became the stage for a reckoning. Drizzle fell steadily, soaking the emerald grass, turning it slick and dark under the faint, golden glow of streetlights that lined the winding paths. A quiet pond, its surface rippling with each drop, lay 10 feet from a worn wooden bench, its slats damp and cool to the touch. The air carried the scent of wet earth and pine, a chill biting at 50 degrees, typical of a Seattle spring evening. Skyscrapers loomed in the distance, their lights blurred by the mist, a reminder of the bustling city just beyond this pocket of stillness. The park, a 5-acre haven of trees and trails, felt like a sanctuary. Yet tonight, it pulsed with tension. The patter of rain a soft drumbeat to a confrontation years in the making. Keanu Reeves, his black jacket speckled with raindrops, stepped into the park, his boots sinking slightly into the muddy ground. At 58, his face bore the quiet strength fans adored, but his eyes, deep and searching, flickered with uncertainty. He'd come here after a late call, a cryptic text from a mutual friend hinting Michael Parker needed to talk. The sting of Michael's 2022 memoir quote, "Why is it that original thinkers like River Phoenix and Heath Ledger die, but Keanu Reeves still walks among us," still lingered, compounded by the leaked 2-minute voicemail. Keanu's plea of, "I just wish you'd talk to me," man splashed across tabloids. He'd driven 2 miles from a Seattle hotel, the wipers of his car slashing through the 50-degree wave drizzle, heart heavy with questions. As he neared the bench, 10 feet from the pond's edge, he saw Michael, a shadow against the streetlight's glow, his shoulders hunched, hands trembling in the cold. Michael Parker, 53, looked worn beyond his years, his sandy hair plastered to his forehead by the rain, his eyes darting like a man caught between flight and surrender. The addiction that had gripped him for decades, the loss of his friend Danny, 5 miles from their Ohio hometown, and the collapse of his 2,000-square-foot comedy club dream in Los Angeles had left scars, visible in the tremor of his fingers and the hollows beneath his eyes. He stood, 6 feet from the bench, soaked to the skin, his thin jacket no match for the 50-degree wave chill. The weight of the leaked voicemail, a desperate act for cash, pressed on him, a shame heavier than the rain. As Keanu approached, Michael's breath hitched, and he stepped forward, voice cracking. "I didn't mean to hurt you, I'm lost." "Keanu," he stammered, rain dripping from his chin. "That leak was my shame, Not your fault. I was drowning, broke, and I sold you out. I hate myself for it." His words tumbled out, raw and unfiltered, his body shaking, not just from the cold, but from a confession that cost him everything to voice. Keanu stopped, 3 feet away, rain tracing paths down his face. He studied Michael, the man he'd known on a 1990s film set, where they'd shared laughs over coffee 10 feet from a prop fire, dodging fake bullets in the night. The hurt lingered, but Keanu's heart softened. He took a breath, the damp air cool in his lungs, and spoke, his voice low, steady. "Fame's heavy. Man, I've doubted myself, too," he admitted, eyes locking with Michael's. "I've wondered why I'm still here, why others aren't. I didn't get why you'd say that, but I see you're carrying something bigger than me." The rain pattered on, the pond 10 feet away reflecting the streetlight's glow, a mirror to the vulnerability between them. Keanu's words, honest and unguarded, cut through the drizzle, a bridge across the chasm of pain, echoing the American instinct to seek understanding amid chaos. Michael's hands fumbled in his pocket, rain-soaked fingers pulling out a worn, 3-inch brass keychain, its surface scratched and tarnished, glinting faintly in the dim light. Engraved in rough script was "Strength in Shadows," a relic from their old film, a token of late nights. Talks, and a bond buried by time. "I kept this," Michael said, voice barely above the rain's whisper, stepping closer to hand it to Keanu. "It's from those days, when we were just guys, not headlines. I don't know why, but I need you to have it." Keanu took it, his fingers tracing the 3-inch length, feeling the weight of shared history nights spent 20 feet from a soundstage, laughing through exhaustion. The keychain, cold from the 50-degree night, was a symbol, a thread of connection frayed but enduring, tying them to a time before pain pulled them apart. Nearby, Lisa, the 5'4", 38-year-old bartender from the Route 66 Roadhouse, lingered under a dripping tree, 15 feet away. She'd driven Michael here, her no-nonsense grit softened by memory. She'd known him in better days, when his jokes filled her bar. 10 miles west of Tulsa, with laughter, his wit a balm to late-night crowds. "Go face him, Michael," she'd urged in her car, her voice firm, eyes warm. "You're more than your worst moment. Show him that humor's still in you." Her presence, steady and quiet, embodied the American spirit of community, a push to lift a friend from the mud. Closer to Keanu, Jake, a 5'8", 17-year-old fan, stood, rain soaking his hoodie, his wide eyes bright with awe. He'd spotted Keanu at the Roadhouse, followed him here, driven by admiration. "He's hurting." "Sir, give him a chance," Jake said, his voice earnest, stepping within 5 feet of Keanu, a young voice echoing the American value of hope, of second shots. The rain intensified, a steady 50-degree rough curtain drenching the park. The pond, 10 feet from the bench, rippling faster. Streetlights casting fractured light across the scene. Keanu held the 3-inch keychain, his gaze shifting from Michael to the object, then back. Michael's confession hung heavy, his shame laid bare, while Keanu's admission of doubt cracked open his own armor. Lisa and Jake, 15 and 5 feet away, watched. Their support, a quiet force, urging healing. The Seattle night, gritty and wet, framed a raw exchange, far from the polished quiet of a studio or a scripted event. Here, 2 miles from downtown, the drizzle washed away pretense, leaving 2 men, a keychain, and a chance to mend what was broken. A moment pulsing with the heart of forgiveness and the promise of truth. The rain-soaked confrontation in the Seattle park, 2 miles from downtown, lingered in Keanu Reeves' mind. The 3-inch brass keychain engraved with "Strength in Shadows," a quiet weight in his pocket. The bond with Michael Parker, frayed by hurt, the 2022 memoir quote. The leaked 2-minute voicemail had bent toward healing that 50-degree-hour night in May 2023. But time, relentless and unpredictable, shifted the story again, carrying it from hope to a profound, aching loss. The Route 66 Roadhouse, 10 miles west of Tulsa, Oklahoma, still loomed in memory, its neon buzz and burger-scented air a backdrop to their saga. Now, in the stillness of grief, Keanu faced a deeper reckoning, a journey of reflection that would reshape his heart. Late in 2024, tragedy struck. Michael Parker died unexpectedly, a sudden loss that rippled across headlines and hearts. The news broke on a crisp November day. The details sparse, perhaps a health struggle, a quiet exit after years of battling addiction. Keanu, 60 years old, was 3,000 miles away, on a film set in the sprawling deserts of New Mexico, the sun blazing at 75-degree Fahrenheit. A stark contrast to the chill of his thoughts. Dust swirled around the 10,000-square-foot set, cameras rolling, crew bustling 20 feet away, when a production assistant, a young woman barely 5 feet tall, approached, her face pale. "Keanu, I'm so sorry Michael Parker's gone," she said, voice trembling. The words landed like a stone, heavy and cold. Keanu froze, the script in his hand forgotten, his dark eyes clouding with shock. He nodded, wordless, and walked 50 feet to a quiet corner, past trailers and lighting rigs, to a lone chair under a scraggly mesquite tree. There, 3,000 miles from where Michael took his last breath. He sat in silence, the desert wind tugging at his jacket, the 75-degree hour of heat irrelevant against the ice in his chest. No tears. No words, just a stillness. A void where questions swirled. Why now? What hadn't they said night after night? Grief wove into Keanu's dreams. In the quiet of a hotel room, 10 miles from the set, he'd close his eyes and find himself walking a quiet street, a dreamscape of empty sidewalks and dim streetlights. The air cool at 55 degrees, a faint echo of the Seattle rain. Michael appeared, 50 feet ahead, his silhouette familiar, sandy hair, slouched shoulders, the man who'd trembled with confession in the park. They walked, wordless, the distance between them a steady 50 feet, the gap of unspoken things. Michael would turn, his face etched with a sad smile, a flicker of the humor that once lit up sound stages, then fade like mist, leaving Keanu reaching into the dark, nightly. This vision replayed, a haunting loop, Michael's eyes, heavy with regret. His smile a goodbye he couldn't voice. Keanu woke, heart pounding, hands grasping air. 3,000 miles of distance, a chasm he couldn't cross. The dreams echoed the hurt of the quote, "Why is it that original thinkers like River Phoenix and Heath Ledger die?" But Keanu Reeves still walks among us in the sting of the leaked voicemail. But more, the ache of a bond cut short. Then, one night, the dream shifted. The same quiet street stretched before Keanu, the 55-degree of air brushing his face, streetlights casting pools of light across the pavement. Michael walked ahead, 50 feet apart, his steps slow, deliberate. Keanu braced for the fade, the sad smile, the empty wake. But this time, Michael stopped, turned, and stayed. His eyes, clear and calm, met Keanu's, no longer clouded by shame or pain. The distance closed to 10 feet, the closest they'd been in dreams. And Michael spoke, his voice steady, cutting through the stillness. "You're not supposed to carry it alone." The words landed, simple yet profound, a thread of truth in the night. Keanu woke, bolt upright in his bed, the 3,000-mile gap between him and Michael's final resting place a vivid weight. Sweat beaded on his brow, the 55-degree May dream chill lingering. Silence. His old shield felt hollow now. He rethought it not strength, but a wall, blocking the love he hadn't fully voiced. Grief, he realized, was unfinished love, a longing for one more moment, one more word to bridge the 50 feet of their dream street. Months passed. The loss, a quiet companion. By May 31st, 2025, Keanu, now back near the Route 66 Roadhouse, carried Michael's memory, the 3-inch brass keychain a talisman in his pocket. That night, at 10:21 p.m., in a hotel room 5 miles from Tulsa, the 55-degree Oklahoma air seeping through a window. He sat at a small desk, a single lamp casting a 10-foot glow, pen in hand. He poured out his heart, a 3-hour, unfiltered letter. The words raw, ink smudging from the force of his grip. Dear Michael, he wrote, you hurt me, not the quote, not the leak, but leaving before I could say you mattered. You were enough chaotic, funny, a light in the dark. I see you now. The kid who lost Danny, the dreamer with a 2,000-square-foot vision, the man who made us laugh through your pain. You fought, stumbled, but gave what you had a miracle, not a flaw. I wish I'd said it, 2 miles from Seattle, or texted it across 3,000 miles. I hope you've found peace, a gentle place beyond the storm. I carry you, Michael, your shadows and your shine. The letter, sprawling across pages, was a plea, a release, a love unspoken until now, its rawness, a balm for Keanu's soul. The distance 3,000 miles from Michael's end to Keanu's set amplified the ache. A vast American expanse of desert, plains, and memory. The letter, unmailed, rested in his jacket, near the keychain, a testament to a bond broken and cherished. Keanu sat back, the 55-degree night air cooling his face, eyes tracing the words. Grief wasn't just loss. He saw it was love, unfinished, stretching across 50 feet of a dream street, 3,000 miles of earth, and years of silence for you. Hearts. This hit deep a man, quiet and kind, wrestling with pain, pouring truth onto paper, honoring a friend who'd faltered yet shone. The Route 66 Roadhouse waited, 10 miles away, for Keanu to carry this forward. A story of loss and reflection, raw and real, ready to unfold. The clock struck 10:23 p.m. on Saturday, May 31st, 2025, as Keanu Reeves stood once more in the weathered Route 66 Roadhouse, 10 miles west of Tulsa, Oklahoma. The night air, a chilly 55-degree marsh, slipped through the cracked windows, carrying the scent of burgers and fries, while neon signs buzzed red, blue, and green, casting a flickering glow across the wooden walls. The jukebox, its chrome dulled by time, hummed a low tune, a faint echo of Leonard Skinner from earlier, blending with the murmur of a crowd gathered for the charity event. The 20-foot-wide room bustled with life tables sticky with spilled beer, amber lanterns swaying overhead, and 50 patrons, some in denim, others in faded tees, their eyes bright with anticipation. Keanu, now 60, stood near a makeshift stage, 5 feet from the bar, his black jacket dusted with the day's journey, the 3-inch brass keychain engraved with strength in shadows, a quiet weight in his hand. The event, a fundraiser for veterans, had drawn them here, but the ghost of Michael Parker, lost late in 2024, hung heavy, steering this night toward a climax of truth and purpose. Keanu stepped to the stage, a simple platform 10 feet wide, his boots scuffing the worn wood. The crowd hushed, their chatter fading, eyes fixed on the Hollywood icon whose quiet grace felt at home in this rugged slice of Americana. He held the 3-inch keychain, its tarnished surface glinting under the lanterns, and took a breath, the 55-degree biter of air cool in his lungs. I'm here for the veterans, he began, voice low, steady. But I need to share a story about Michael Parker, about hurt, about healing. The room stilled, a collective lean in as he spoke. In 2022, Michael wrote in his memoir, Why is it that original thinkers like River Phoenix and Heath Ledger die, but Keanu Reeves still walks among us? It stung, confused me, hurt me. I wondered what pain drove that. He paused, eyes scanning faces, the weight of memory alive. Then he leaked a voicemail, 2 minutes of me saying, "I just wish you'd talk to me, man," to a tabloid. It blew up, threatened this very event. A 10-mile ride for veterans at a 5,000-square-foot hall in Nashville. The crowd murmured, recalling the storm. Keanu's voice softened. But in May 2023, 2 miles from Seattle, on a rainy 50-degree night, we met. He trembled, said, "I didn't mean to hurt you, I'm lost. Keanu, that leak was my shame." I told him fame's heavy, that I doubted myself too. He gave me this. He held up the keychain from our 90s film, a sign of late nights, shared laughs, buried bonds. I saw his truth grief, not anger. The roadhouse, steeped in Route 66 lore, held its breath, the 55-degree breeze rustling napkins on tables. Then, a mystery stirred. On a wobbly table, 5 feet from Keanu, amid a clutter of beer bottles and fry baskets, sat a torn, yellowed note, unclaimed, its edges frayed like it had been plucked from time. No one owned it, Jenna. The 5'4", 38-year-old bartender shook her head, her sharp eyes puzzled. Caleb, the wiry event organizer, swore it wasn't his. Patrons 10 feet away shrugged. Keanu stepped down, boots thudding, and picked it up, heart quickening. He unfolded the thick, aged paper, a fragment no bigger than 4 inches wide, and froze. In a stranger's slanted hand, the words read, "Strength in Shadows," a perfect echo of the keychain's engraving, a relic from their 1990s film. "Someone found this," Keanu said, voice barely above the jukebox's hum, tucked in a prop box from a movie we made together, 30 years back. No label, just there, waiting. He held it to the light, the 55-degree off air chilling his fingers. The crowd, silent, awed. A cosmic echo, a thread across decades, tied this night to their past eerie. Undeniable. A sign the universe wasn't subtle. Jenna leaned over the bar, 5 feet away, her gaze steady, remembering Michael's old quips, his fight. Jake, the 5'8", 17-year-old fan, stood 3 feet from Keanu, eyes wide, whispering, "It's like he's here." "Sir." The moment pulsed, the note and keychain a pair. Their message deeper now, a bridge from hurt to hope. Keanu looked out, his voice firm, raw. Michael's gone, but his struggle addiction, lost lives in so many. I want to honor him. He paused, the crowd leaning in, the 55-degree night alive with possibility. "We're planning a 10-mile charity ride for addiction recovery, starting right here at this roadhouse, aiming for 500 riders. We'll ride 10 miles through Tulsa's edges, raising funds to fight what Michael battled, to lift others up." Cheers erupted, hands clapped, glasses raised 50 voices strong, a wave of support. Caleb, the organizer, nodded, scribbling plans, envisioning 500 bikes, engines roaring, a 10-mile stretch of Route 66 alive with purpose. "We'll do it for Michael," Keanu said, holding the keychain and note for his light, his fight, his shadows that meant something. The roadhouse vibrated, the 55-degree air electric with resolve. Patrons pledged some with $10, others $50, imagining a line of riders, 500 strong, stretching 10 miles, tires humming on asphalt, the cause a beacon for America's heart. Jenna, wiping the bar, smiled, her 5'4" frame buzzing with pride, ready to cheer the start. Jake, 5 feet 8 inches of youthful hope, clapped, eyes shining, seeing Keanu as a guide, Michael as a lesson. The note, a yellowed whisper from a prop box, topped the original's vague envelope, its eerie fate a chill down spines. A tie to the keychain's promise. The ride. A bold leap. Outshone a quiet letter. Thrilling you. Souls with collective action. A purpose rooted in redemption. Keanu stepped back, 5 feet from the stage, the 3-inch keychain and torn note in hand. His eyes deep, reflective. The hurt, the quote, the leak, the rainy night melted into Michael's truth. A man who fought, fell, and gave. The roadhouse, 10 miles from Tulsa, pulsed at 10:23 p.m. The 55-degree of night, a canvas for a climax revelation, unity, a legacy rising from shadows to light. The saga of Keanu Reeves and Michael Parker, born in the neon glow of the Route 66 Roadhouse, 10 miles west of Tulsa, Oklahoma, reached its crescendo weeks after the charity event on May 31, 2025. The night of the 10-mile ride arrived, a crisp, 55-degree warm evening in June 2025, the air alive with the rumble of engines and the hope of renewal. 500 riders, a tapestry of leather jackets, helmets, and determined spirits, gathered at the roadhouse, its weathered wood and buzzing neon signs red, blue, and green, a beacon of purpose. The scent of burgers and fries lingered, mixing with gasoline from bikes lined up across the lot. Stretching 50 feet wide, Keanu Reeves, at 60, stood among them, his black jacket dusted with Oklahoma dirt, his dark eyes bright with resolve. The 10-mile charity ride for addiction recovery, born to honor Michael Parker's fight, roared to life, tires humming along Route 66's storied asphalt. They crossed the 10-mile stretch, weaving through Tulsa's edges, past fields and diners, to a finish line in the city, where a crowd of 300 cheered, hands raised, hearts full. The effort raised $75,000, a triumph for those battling the demons Michael knew too well. Addiction, loss, self-doubt, a legacy of light rising from his shadows. Back at the roadhouse, the 55-degree breeze carried a sense of victory as Keanu stepped to a 20-foot wall, once faded and peeling, now transformed. With a gentle tug, he unveiled a 20-foot mural, a vivid tribute to Michael Parker. The artwork captured Michael laughing, his sandy hair tousled, eyes crinkling with the humor that once lit up sitcom sets and late-night talks on a 1990s film lot. Painted in bold hues, blues, golds, reds, it glowed under the neon, a 20-foot testament to his light, not his stumbles, his addiction, or the pain behind his 2022 memoir quote and leaked voicemail. The crowd, 500 riders, locals, and supporters gasped, then cheered, a wave of sound rolling 30 feet across the room. Jenna, the 5'4", 38-year-old bartender, wiped a tear, her gritty warmth proud of the man she'd known. Jake, the 5'8", 17-year-old fan, clapped, his youthful hope mirrored in the mural's joy. Keanu, holding the 3-inch brass keychain and the torn, yellowed note, both etched with strength in shadows, stepped forward, his boots steady on the scuffed floor. Heart full. Keanu raised a hand, quieting the crowd, the 55-degree air still. The jukebox pausing its hum. Grief's messy, he began, voice low, raw. Love cut short by pain and time. Michael hurt me, his words, his leak, but he taught me more. Don't wait, call a friend, forgive, say they matter. He showed me silence isn't strength. It's a wall we build, trapping love inside. He paused, eyes sweeping the faces. 50 strong, their nods a quiet echo. Michael's fight, his chaos. His humor reminds us we're enough, even when we're broken. Pain distorts, but it doesn't erase the good. I learned to speak, to reach out, because 3,000 miles or 10 feet distance shouldn't silence care. The crowd stilled, moved by his truth. Another lesson, forgiveness heals us, not just them. In that 50-degree of Seattle rain, I saw his burden loss, Guilt and let go of mine. And community, look at this ride. 500 of you. 10 miles strong. We lift each other. Like Michael tried, even on dark days. He held up the keychain and note. These taught me shadows have meaning. Strength hides there, waiting. The lessons sank deep, resonant for an American heart. First, the power of now, Keanu's call to act, to phone a friend, reflected a culture that values connection, urgency. The 988 lifeline for mental health, a quiet backdrop since 2022. Second, forgiveness as freedom, a release from grudges, aligned with redemption stories loved across the U.S., from small towns to cities. Third, communities might 500 writers. $75,000 raised mirrored America's love for collective good, like barn raisings or charity runs. A bond born on Route 66. Fourth, imperfections worth Michael, flawed yet luminous, taught Keanu and them that brokenness isn't failure, it's human, a truth for a nation of dreamers. Keanu stepped to the mural. 20 feet of Michael's laugh, and set the 3-inch keychain and yellowed note on a small shelf below. A quiet bond, a bridge from hurt to hope. Michael taught me that, he said, voice soft, eyes deep. Live out loud, love out loud, don't let pain win. The jukebox sparked to life. A gentle strum of classic rock, maybe Skynyrd again filling the roadhouse. The 55-degree of breeze carrying hope through the windows. The crowd erupted, cheers rolling 30 feet, glasses clinking, hands clapping in a rhythm of unity. Jenna, behind the bar, 5 feet away, raised a soda, her smile wide, proud of this night. Jake, 5 feet 8 inches of zeal, shouted, for Michael his voice a spark for the future. Keanu turned, eyes meeting theirs, gratitude in his gaze. Thank you, all of you, he said, voice warm, steady. You rode 10 miles, gave $75,000, honored a man's fight. You're why this matters. If you're with us, hit that subscribe button, join our channel. Stay on this journey. Help us lift more lives. The plea, simple and earnest, echoed American calls to action, a nod to community, to digital bonds that stretch beyond this 20-foot room. Keanu stepped back, 5 feet from the stage, the mural glowing 20 feet high, Michael's laugh a beacon. The 55-degree breeze danced, hope tangible, the scent of fries and victory mingling. He walked off, not a star, but a man 60 years of grace, carrying a friend's truth. The keychain and note a quiet vow. The crowd cheered, a wave of sound. Hearts lifted by Lessons Act now. Forgive freely, lean on each other, embrace the flawed. Keanu's words don't wait. Love out loud rang true, a call for a nation that cherishes connection, second chances, and bold gestures. The Roadhouse, 10 miles from Tulsa, pulsed with life, the $75,000 a seed for recovery, the mural, a 20-foot legacy. Thanks again, Keanu called, turning back, eyes bright. Subscribe, stay with us, let's keep Michael's light alive. He faded into the crowd, a man moved by loss, lifted by love, urging all to live, forgive, and thank the community that carried them here.